Our market analyst this week is Mike Briggs. For the farmers stressing planting delays and potential yield loss, your problems are still probably lighter than the average cattle producer. The Livestock Marketing Information Center said this week its calculations for feeding returns through April 2013 are running in the red for the 24th consecutive month. With the U.S. cattle inventory at its lowest levels in over half a century, this summer was the target time frame many analysts were expecting to reach record high prices. When we talked with Mike Wednesday morning, I asked where that new high was hiding.
That's a really good question. Hopefully we didn't just make it last week, because we sold beef at an all-time high, had really nice cattle prices, and the market has just completely tanked because you've got this overwhelming amount of demand bearishness. Beef's going to be too high, too much sticker shock. And it may be true. Even Tyson came out with their quarterly earnings last week and talked about how there's this massive switch to chicken. I understand the price discrepancy, but wow, is it really this dramatic with this low cattle prices? It's hard to fathom.
That seems to be the talk right now, is that there's too many questions about demand, and I've seen the same thing about chicken, that the chicken people are building more so that they can keep a ratchet at least somewhat on the prices. But do you think that demand is actually a concern for a cattle producer?
It's been a concern because we've had such a pathetic spring. It's been too cold. Grilling season's never gotten here yet. Never gotten here, and the East Coast weather's been terrible. So my question is now, because if grilling season would have started normal, you hadn't had that uptick in the prices yet. So now these customers that haven't allegedly been buying beef, when they walk in the store now that prices have gone up, is there actually going to be sticker shock and they run over the chicken case? I don't know. I don't do that, but I'm a little different situation. But that's what's going to be really interesting, is if the price really does stop the consumer. If they say, whoa, this is too high, I'm going to go eat some white meat. That'll be interesting to see, because I don't think that's been tested yet. We'll see.
If you're buying live cattle, where's the profit at? Is there one, or is there any opportunities?
Profit. There's no profit in this. This industry has just been horrible for the last year and a half, and I don't know what's going to straighten it out. We all talked about higher cattle prices allegedly saving us, but we also wondered if anybody would buy it, and maybe that's going to come to fruition here. Maybe nobody is.
Yeah, the Livestock Marketing Information Center, I don't want to punch you while you're down here, but showed that feed yards were going to be in the red for 24 consecutive months here.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. The only thing that can save us is a big corn crop, and that's not going well either, because guys can't get it planted. We need a big corn crop so we can actually put pounds on cheaper than we're selling them, because that's where we make our money. And for the last year and a half, we've been unable to do that. Maybe the last 2 years.
What does that mean for input prices then? Because essentially you're going from, we had just, before we went on, we said essentially what was an early harvest was going to lead to 13 months of using that corn is now going to be like 14 months of using that corn.
Corn is going to get, the actual physical supply of corn before the combines hit the field now is going to get really, really tight. So if you're running a feed yard, or you're going to need corn out in the future, you better get your fingers into it somehow, because it's going to get a little sketchy, I'm afraid.
Does that mean high prices though?
Great question. I would like to think so, because you're going to have a huge disparity between new crop and old crop. Old crop stocks are going to be tight, and now that new crop just got further away, I think that potential is there, because you have not slowed down the ethanol plants. Yet we just talked about chicken, you're not slowing them down. I don't think you're going to slow down pork. Yeah, there's lower beef cattle numbers, so that's not going to be where it always is, but that's pretty bad out of balance. There's going to be something happen there. I just not smart enough to know what it is.
How willing is the beef packer to buy right now?
They have had we've had excellent export numbers the last 3 weeks. We have had excellent forward contract sales to retailers or restaurants, what have you. We've had excellent beef sales. So there hasn't been a sticker shock that people keep talking about yet. The packer, he's still kind of in the red from the figures we get to see. So I don't know how anxious he's going to be. He's hiding in the weeds pretty good this week. After last week, he's hiding in the woods. So it's hard to know. I'm just completely dumbfounded at this point. I don't know. I don't understand.
Can you understand anybody who's bullish on grain right now? Do you agree with that sentiment?
I could see maybe being bullish on old crop grain. Why anybody's bullish on new crop grain, I have no idea. I think we maybe talked about it on this show, that clear last fall, you better be selling some of next year's crop, because with the acres and the potential for a large crop, new crop corn has no chance of going up unless you have a weather threat again, and at the moment, the only weather threat is that it's too wet.
Tell me about performance. Is there any silver lining there?
There is no silver lining in performance. As you look through the camera lens at my beautiful feed yard conditions and all the mud, there's nothing that kills performance more than mud. And not only have we had mud, we've had cool and wet, and that's really hard on cattle. Our performance has been deplorable. So we need some nice weather just like the farmer does so they can get their work done. We need to be able to get our work done here.
Final question here. One of the things that's been talked about this week and a little bit last week with the Dow and all the stocks making record highs, how confident are you right now in the overall stock market? Because once you make a high, there's talk about how long does it last.
I'm kind of, I listen to the guys on CNBC all the time, and I've been on the camp that this is all smoke and mirrors in my mind. The employment numbers are bad. Yes, they're showing record profits, but they're showing poor revenue numbers. In other words, sales aren't good. They're making money by chopping off heads, getting rid of expenses. You can only cut so far. So I'm a little concerned about the economy going forward, but I could be totally wrong. There's a lot of those guys that say it's going to break, and it hasn't. But I'm a little concerned. I think the air's a little thin up there.